What happens when you stop being nice to the wrong people? Greetings, my friend. Have you ever noticed how being nice can slowly turn into a silent contract, one where you're expected to stay quiet, stay available, and stay small, all for the comfort of others? It's as if your kindness becomes a currency people assume is endless. You're the one who listens, forgives, shows up, and rarely complains. But here's a question. What happens when you finally stop overgiving? What really happens when you stop being nice to the wrong people? Let's dive deep, because this isn't just about attitude. It's about reclaiming your peace, power, and identity. 1. They show their true colors. When you stop bending over backward for those who have come to expect your constant generosity, something changes. The smiles fade, the compliments stop, and the charm begins to wear off. You start to see them for who they truly are. Why? Because boundaries are the ultimate test of character. The moment you say no, when you previously always said yes, they get uncomfortable. And not because you did something wrong, but because they no longer have the same access to your time, energy, or silence. That discomfort. It's not about your boundaries, it's about their entitlement. Think of it like this. If you feed a stray dog every day, it comes back. It seems loyal. But the day you stop, it doesn't bark or scratch, it simply stops coming. That's not loyalty. That's convenience. The same goes for people who only loved what you did for them, not who you are. Take Amelia, for example. She was known as the nice one, always helping, always giving, even when it cost her sleep, money, or peace of mind. But once she hit her breaking point, she started saying no. She stopped over-explaining. And some people respected her even more. But others, they went cold. One even told her, "You've changed," as though protecting your peace is a betrayal. But Amalia saw the truth. She wasn't losing friends, she was losing habits, roles she no longer wanted to play. People revealed their true faces when they could no longer manipulate her kindness. The lesson: don't fear the fallout. Let people show you who they are when they can no longer use you. 2. They lose power over you. Being overly nice isn't just about generosity, it's about control. And not yours, theirs. When you're constantly accommodating, when you say yes to everything and everyone, you're giving up something very valuable: your power. You let their moods dictate your responses. Their approval shapes your decisions. Their disappointment becomes your guilt. But when you stop over-apologizing, stop over-explaining, and stop seeking validation, they lose that control. Marcus Aurelius said it best: you become powerful the moment you no longer seek approval. Let's talk about Jason. For years, he was the dependable guy, always helping at work, always showing up for his family, even when it meant sacrificing his own goals. Why? Because he didn't want to disappoint anyone. But he reached a point where he realized, this isn't peace, it's submission. So, Jason began to say no. He said it with clarity, not anger, and the reactions were instant. Some were shocked. Others tried to guilt trip him. But Jason stood firm. And guess what happened? He felt free. He felt lighter. He realized they were never in control. He was just giving his power away. When you stop being overly nice to the wrong people, they lose access to a version of you that was never supposed to be a doormat. And you regain the version of you that stands tall, makes choices with intention, and doesn't apologize for having boundaries. 3. Your mental clarity returns. One of the most underrated yet powerful outcomes of breaking free from people pleasing is mental clarity. When you're constantly trying to please others, especially those who keep taking without giving, your mind becomes a battlefield. You're always second-guessing, overthinking, and carrying emotional baggage that was never yours to begin with. Did I offend them? Should I have said yes? Will they be mad? These thoughts pile up, cluttering your mind. But once you stop catering to those who drain you, the fog lifts. Seneca said, "Remove unnecessary things from your mind and peace will return." And that includes unnecessary people. Emily was always the go-to person. Need a favor? Call Emily. Need someone to vent to at 2 a.m. Emily's your girl. But slowly she became drained, anxious, distracted. Her mind was loud, restless. Then one day, she made a choice. She stopped picking up every call. She stopped explaining every decision. She gave herself permission to step back. And within weeks, her thoughts quieted. Her priorities became clear. Her mental space was finally hers again. The truth is, clarity doesn't come from doing more for everyone. It comes from protecting your energy from those who never appreciated it. 4. You gain self-respect. Now here's the most powerful transformation of all. Self-respect. When you stop people-pleasing, you stop abandoning yourself. And in doing so, you begin to build a deep, unshakable respect for who you are. Being too nice often means you speak last, think last, and feel last. You sacrifice your needs for others, even when they wouldn't do the same. But when you start saying no to things that don't align with your values, something magical happens. You begin to matter to yourself. Epictetus once said, "Respect yourself enough to walk away from anything that no longer serves you." That includes people, conversations, habits, and self-sacrifices that leave you feeling small. Let's talk about Rowan. He was the fixer, the helper, the one who always said, "I got it," even if it crushed him. But one day he had a wake-up call. He started paying attention to who reciprocated his energy. The answer, not many. So Rowan stopped being available for everyone. And yes, some people called him selfish, but he didn't shrink back. Instead, he stood taller, thought clearer, lived freer, because finally, he was showing up for himself. So how do you build this kind of self-respect? Stop apologizing for having needs. Make choices based on your values, not other people's approval. Celebrate your growth, even when others don't. At the end of the day, when you stop being overly nice to the wrong people, you don't just gain boundaries, you gain yourself. 5. They try to manipulate you back. Let's talk about what really happens when you stop being overly nice to the wrong people, especially those who were quietly benefiting from your compliance. When you pull away, set boundaries, or stop bending over backward to please them, they don't just walk away peacefully. No, manipulators have a pattern. They try to manipulate you back. They might guilt trip you. You've changed. I guess you don't care about me anymore. Suddenly, they're the victim, as if your healthy boundary was some kind of attack. Other times, they pretend to change, warm words, soft tones, even apologies. I've been doing some thinking. I want things to go back to how they were. But look closely, nothing's actually changed. It's not growth, it's strategy. They're not sorry they took advantage of your kindness. They're sorry they lost access to it. Here's the truth. When you create distance, you expose motives. The ones who truly care will respect your space. But the ones who used your kindness, they'll panic. Not because they love you, but because they miss the control. Your boundaries threaten the role they played in your life. So instead of taking responsibility, They flip it on you, make you question your decision. But remember what Marcus Aurelius said: the closer one is to truth, the more falsehood resists. So when you start living in truth, when you say no without guilt, when you stop over-explaining, when you honor your peace, they will push back the hardest. Let me tell you about Amalia. She had a friend who leaned on her constantly, emotionally dependent, always taking, never giving. But Amalia stayed silent. She didn't want conflict. Until one day she gently pulled back. First came guilt. I guess our friendship doesn't matter anymore. Then came charm. I miss us. Let's hang out like we used to. But Amalia had learned something crucial. None of it was genuine. It wasn't about her. It was about keeping a dynamic that only worked for them. So she held her ground. And that one choice changed everything. So, how do you respond when manipulators try to pull you back? Stay grounded. Their reaction reflects their dependency, not your worth. Don't over-explain. The more you explain, the more ammo you give them. Trust the discomfort. Resistance means your boundary is working. At the end of the day, let them panic. You're no longer playing the role they wrote for you. 6. You create space for genuine people. Here's one of the most beautiful, often unexpected, outcomes of saying no to the wrong people. You create space for the right ones. At first, stepping away from toxic dynamics can feel lonely. You might wonder, did I do the right thing? What if I end up with no one? But here's what really happens. As you remove people who were only around for convenience, attention, or control, you open the door to genuine connection. You stop bending over backward for people who only show up when they need something. And suddenly, you start noticing the ones who check in with no agenda, listen without making it about themselves, respect your no without needing an explanation. They might not be loud, they might not come in crowds, but when they arrive, they bring peace, not pressure. This is where Stoic wisdom speaks again. Seneca said, "Associate with those who make you better." That means choose people who lift your spirit, not drain it, who walk beside you, not ahead or behind. Let me tell you about Brandon. For years, he surrounded himself with people who only called when they needed something. He'd drive across town, help them move, lend money, no questions asked. But when Brandon hit a hard time, silence. So he stepped back, quietly, no drama, and slowly the noise faded. Something surprising happened. New people started showing up, people who asked, "How are you doing?" Not, "What can you do for me?" He built a smaller circle, but a stronger one. So how do you do the same? Let go of people who drain you. Get clear on your values. Know what you stand for. Trust the process. Genuine people don't appear until you create the space. At the end of the day, when you stop being overly nice to the wrong people, you create a path for the right ones to walk in. And those relationships, they don't just feel better, they make you better. 7. Your energy shifts. One of the most powerful transformations. Your energy shifts. It's subtle at first, but it changes everything. When you're always giving your time, energy, and emotional focus to the wrong people, you feel tired, burnt out, disconnected. You lose motivation. Forget your own needs. You're running on empty. But when you stop, you reclaim something sacred, your peace. And that shift doesn't just change your relationships, it touches every part of your life. Your mind clears, your focus sharpens. You wake up without that emotional weight you used to carry. And most importantly, you start choosing yourself, not from a place of selfishness, but from necessity. Epictetus said, "He who is not a slave to others' expectations is truly free." That's the shift. Freedom. The freedom to say no without guilt, to live without performing, to protect your peace without apology. Let me share a story. Sophia was the reliable one. Extra shifts, last-minute favors, hosting events even when she was exhausted. On the outside, she looked dependable, but inside, burnt out, anxious, drained, until one day she hit pause. She didn't stop caring. She just started caring about herself too. She said, "No," calmly. She stepped back from one-sided relationships, and little by little she came back to life. She had energy again, picked up old hobbies, started smiling more, not exhausted from existing. That's what this shift is all about. Coming back to yourself. If you felt this, hit like, subscribe, and share your story in the comments. Your clarity, your peace, your energy, they're worth protecting. And the moment you stop being nice to the wrong people, your support means the world, and this journey toward personal growth is just getting started. Everything changes. Stay strong, stay clear, stay you.